Mater misericordiae, vita lucero, espes nostra salve, Patre Palamus.
I had some pretty serious medical conditions that I was born with, and was in and out of hospitals a lot for the first 3 to 4 years of my life. As I got older, there's sort of a sense of wanting to pay back, wanting to give something back. When I was finishing high school, I really started to think about pharmacy school. And then when my work as a pharmacist, there's a number of settings in which a person can be a pharmacist, and the one that I decided on was hospital pharmacy. After graduating from pharmacy school, when I'd received communion, I was going back to the pew during Mass, and I just had like this my recollection of it is like a burning sensation in my chest, and my eyes fell upon this little prayer for vocations, and I read those words, and then I felt the sensation was intensified, and I said, no, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this. Started taking better care of myself, spending some more time in silence, started journaling, although God had really very little to do with any of the stuff that I was doing. What I didn't realize was, through some of these practices, I was first of all clearing out some of the toxins, clearing out some of the noise, clearing out some of the unhealthy things that I'd been doing, which were really preventing me from really being a healthy human being at this point in my life. And then it started to create this space to begin to hear something again. And then what did I start to hear? Well, it's time to come back to Jesus. It's time to come back to the church. It's time to return to Mass, to go to confession. I worked in State College at the hospital where Penn State is, and that is an apostolate of Saint Vincent. So I mentioned to Father Fred Byrne, who was the director of campus ministry at the time, about my potential interest in the priesthood. And so then we began discussing that, and then he invited me down to Saint Vincent a couple of times whenever he had to come down and meet with the abbot, or he had some other reason to come down to the Archabbey. I really feel extremely blessed to be a monk teaching in the sciences. I would say these are subjects where most students probably would not expect to find a monk teaching. I had no idea what to expect when I came for a visit here. I had an idea of what I was going to expect, but what I found was a community of men who are very, very, very much who they are. That it's not just Benedictine life, it's Benedictine life at Saint Vincent. That's an important point to bring out, because all monasteries are slightly different. The saying is, if you've seen one monastery, you've seen one monastery. My favorite part of being a monk in the community is the genuineness and the sincerity of the people in the community. There is little to no pretending in our community amongst the members. It's real. Trust God. Try to find and identify the ways that you trust God and the ways that you don't trust God. You should really be able to identify at least 3 aspects or 3 concrete things about the life that would draw you to that life. You should also be able to identify about 2 or 3 things about the life that absolutely are like fingernails on the chalkboard. Because if you can't see those, you're not being honest with yourself, and you're not being honest with your relationship with God. This is not a fairy tale. This is reality. You know, as it's lived in the monastery, our job is to make present that understanding, that incarnation, right? The Word became flesh, and He continues to become flesh in the lives of the men in the community. So you've got to be able to come to terms with that.